And they suggest the university administration might be making this specific historical change at NTNU to, well, seek favor with the current government.
That's the implication they make, yes. They use some pretty stark language to describe this motivation, things like seeking patronage or fawning over the ruling party.
Wow. They even compare academics who support this change to, what was it, chameleons lacking intellectual backbone.
Yes, those are direct quotes or paraphrases from the source material, very strong accusations reflecting the depth of their conviction about the political nature, as they see it, of this historical revision.
Okay, let's shift then to what they see as the real-world consequences stemming from this controversy. What impacts are they actually concerned about?
Primarily, they argue that changing the university's history in this way fundamentally undermines values that should define a university. Things like academic integrity, basic honesty, the pursuit of historical truth.
So for them, this action betrays those core principles.
Deeply. And they also feel it causes significant confusion among current students. They describe students feeling bewildered, about their own university's true identity and history.
There was that specific, almost anecdotal detail one speaker shared about an NTNU student working multiple jobs.
Yes. And the speaker expressing surprise at the student's apparent free time, which they then linked, perhaps speculatively, but they linked it to a perceived decline in academic rigor or focus within the university.
Suggesting a kind of connection between what they see as historical falsification and maybe a shift in the overall academic environment or priorities.
That seemed to be the connection they were trying to draw. And another speaker went even further, directly connecting this falsification of history and the perceived lack of academic seriousness to NTNU's decline in global academic rankings.
Did they cite a specific rank?
They did. They mentioned a rank of 1178 as evidence, in their view, of this broader decline impacting the university's international standing.
And to show that they don't see this NTNU situation as just some isolated incident, they brought up comparisons, right?
Yes. According to the speakers, they compared it to similar historical controversies they've observed at other universities in Taiwan.
Which ones do they mention?
They specifically mentioned Chiai University, claiming it inflated its history by linking back to a Japanese-era junior high institution.
Okay.
And National Chengxi University, or NCCU, alleging that it denies its KMT or Chiang Kai-shek founding history.
So these comparisons are meant to underline their view that this NTNU situation isn't unique, but part of a larger pattern, as they see it, affecting how historical narratives are handled within academia in Taiwan today.
That's certainly the impression they give in the source materials.
So given the depth of their concerns and the high stakes they perceive, what exactly have the alumni and supporters who hold this view been doing about it? What are their ongoing efforts to challenge this?
Well, the sources detail quite a sustained, multi-year campaign aimed at what they explicitly call correcting NTNU's history.
So this isn't new.
Not at all. This online meeting we reviewed excerpts from, for instance, is part of that effort. It's the third year they've held this specific type of online discussion.
And they mention protests, too.
Yes, consistent physical protests right at the university gate. One speaker noted this has been happening for 8 years.
8 years.
And specifically credited 2 professors with leading these long-term, very visible protests.
Beyond meetings and protests, what other actions have they taken? The sources mentioned quite a range.
They really have. Organizing signature campaigns, writing articles, even publishing books detailing their historical perspective and arguments.
Okay.
Holding press conferences to try and raise public awareness, and even pursuing legal avenues.
Legal action, how so?
By filing complaints with the district prosecutor's office, trying to get some kind of official ruling or investigation into what they see as historical inaccuracy.
But they report facing significant challenges in this campaign, don't they?
They do. They feel the university administration is basically adopting an ostrich policy, just ignoring their concerns and efforts, hoping they'll go away.
And the legal route sounds difficult, too.
Very. They describe difficulties pursuing legal action, claiming the whole process is impacted by the current political climate. They use strong terms, again, describing the judiciary, in their view, as corrupt and chaotic in this context.
That's a serious claim. And what about getting broader support?
That seems to be another major challenge. They note the hesitation of many alumni, including apparently quite prominent public figures, to speak out or offer support.
And why do they think that is?
The speakers attribute that hesitation primarily to a fear of political repercussions in the current environment. a reluctance to get involved in something perceived as politically sensitive.
Interesting. And even within the group of active supporters, the sources indicate there's some internal debate.
Yeah, a bit. It sounds like there's ongoing discussion about the effectiveness of their current methods and what the best path forward really is. Like, should they focus more energy on these legal challenges, or is broader political change needed first to even allow the historical narrative to shift?
So it's complex even for those pushing for the change.
Definitely.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? This deep dive into the NTNU history dispute clearly reveals that it's much more than just a simple disagreement over dates on a calendar.
Absolutely. It's really a look at how history is constructed, how it's fiercely contested, and potentially, according to these speakers, manipulated within institutions, and what that means for the identity of those institutions and the core values they are meant to represent.
It raises some pretty critical questions, doesn't it? Questions about academic integrity, about the significant influence that politics can apparently have on educational institutions and their narratives.
And about the responsibility of individuals within those institutions, as seen by the speakers in our sources anyway, to uphold what they perceive as historical truth, even when it's difficult or unpopular.
Which leads us to a final thought for you to consider. If the foundational history of a respected institution like NTNU can become such a battleground, and perhaps even be changed based on contemporary factors, what does that tell you about how societies remember and maybe, just maybe, selectively forget key aspects of their own past?